Talk about the second law of thermodynamics.
Well, it's quite simple. Every natural system, no matter what it is, they're very, very conservative. They try and maintain themselves, but they eventually drift to a condition of greater and greater entropy.
Right.
Now, entropy, if you like, is randomness, chaos, call it what you like.
Lack of centrality. They diffuse.
It's a bit like a mountain range which has got structure gradually turning into sand which hasn't. And with greater entropy, there's less and less and less and less structure.
Yeah, okay.
Now, that applies to every natural system, but if you think about evolution,
That's saying that it goes backwards.
it goes backwards, which is just stupid. That's one little thing.
Actually, that's a good point. Let's back up on this. So, is there anything in this world that doesn't resort to randomness over time?
No.
You answered that quickly.
Well, that's the second law of thermodynamics. It's the principle of entropy everywhere.
So the stars, as we know it, are separating piece by piece. They're losing their grip on their orbits, and etc.
Well, if there is a structure present in the universe, and possibly is, those structures are gradually going into randomness.
It certainly applies in the world as we know it, but you've taken a mountain range, you've taken buildings that we put together will disintegrate.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and what about relationships? I think it is true of relationships too, psychologically, that if you put energy into a relationship, it will remain intact. If you don't and you leave it alone, it will actually drift.
Well, that could be part. I think you're extending that a little bit. The other one is what causes the Earth to continue going round the sun and not flying off. You say, oh, gravity. Newton discovered gravity. All right. How does gravity act? And what causes gravity?
Nobody has the answer.
Nobody knows at all.
Yeah. Why is it a proportion of mass?
Yeah.
Why?
Why does mass do it? You know, it's just we just don't know. But nobody will admit we don't know. And the other one is what causes life or living things to replicate themselves. Now, evolution, the theory of Darwinian evolution says, in the beginning these little molecules started to divide, to multiply. What was the force that caused them to multiply? What is the force that causes all living things to replicate? Where does it come from? There's three completely unanswered questions that science has got no answer for at all. Not at all.
And so, from your position, what is the answer?
Oh, the answer's quite well. I went back and this business of growing up. I said, well, you look at there's three things. There's the universe, there's the earth, and there's the human individual. Well, if you look at the universe, and we no longer believe that the earth's flat and the sun goes round. Copernicus and Galileo squashed that lot. But with all the information we've got now from space probes and all those other things, and from the information we got from these accelerators, and one in the desert in Arizona and one in Switzerland, about how energy converts to matter, you say, oh, all right, that didn't. But everything has to be so precisely exact for that to happen.
For energy to convert to matter.
For energy to convert to matter, for those little bits of matter, quarks I suppose they are, to convert to larger ones, there you've got gravity, where the hell that comes from. And then for them to pull together under gravity, which we don't understand, so they heat up and then they make 92 different particles. They did, differing by the number of positive charges in their guts. And there's not one number missing. Not one. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, they're right up through the periodic table. They're all there.
And the differentiation is the number of particles,
no, it's the number of positive particles.
positive particles, and they are numerically
One.
individually additive. 1, 2, 3.
Well, yeah, we've got hydrogen, helium, we can go right through the order of elements.
Which is quite unbelievably.
It's absolutely. Now, when you look at that, and when you look at all the other things that are happening in the universe, you say, okay, two possibilities. One, it happened randomly. Or two, it was created by some incredible intellect, if you like. Yeah, you take your pick. But there's only one real obvious answer, because randomness that's doing all those little things and getting everything right is equivalent to a creator. It's got to be. There's one creator. There's the universe. Then you go back to life on this planet and you start asking the same sort of questions. Then you simply say, well, why did this, according to Darwin, why do these little soupy molecules start to duplicate? What was the force behind that? And then you look at DNA function and you say, how did that come about? I mean, in the back of your eye there's cells which turn light into nerve signals, and to do that there's 16 little chemical steps. Not one. Now they can't evolve one by one, because
It's got to be a simultaneity.
It's got to be the whole lot all together if you're going to get advantage.
Yeah.
And the chances of that happening, even with just the back of your eye, is millions to one. But when you look at the whole body, it's just...
And that's just a piece, yeah.
It's just impossible. So again, you can say, was all this by chance or creation? Well, there's no question about it, it's creation.
Yeah.
No, there's just no way around it. But the evolutionists have got some wonderful... And you see, the other thing, Darwinian evolution, there is absolutely no scientific evidence whatsoever that it ever occurred. You know, Drosophila melanoganesca, the fruit fly, breeds twice a day. We've had hundreds and thousands and virtually almost millions of cycles of breeding.
Well, that's because evolution stopped. Wait a minute. We've got a problem with that.
Why? It never happened. It never happened. It just can't happen.
Yeah.
It never happened. It didn't happen at all. And then they say, oh, look at evolution. Now, look at all the fossils. Well, the fossils are just simply creatures that were created and didn't make the grade for one reason or another and fizzled out. Nothing weird about that. And of course there's always the old Piltdown man, where some guy found a human-like skeleton with an ape-like head.
Right.
But of course they found that he'd switched an ape's head into a human skeleton. It was a put-down. It was a sham. And then you see in textbooks, Eohippus and all these little horses that get up to the big horse. Evolution, they found all these fossils. Until somebody said, when they looked at them very carefully, this was a rat. This one was a rabbit. Nothing to do with evolution at all. There's no fossil evidence for evolution.
Now, one of the fascinating things is that you look at the formation of amoeba, and now they've gone into look at amoeba, and they have these microorganisms like the flagellum on the amoeba. It's actually a little motor unit. Yeah. It's actually an orbital motor with a little, I mean, literally, and it's like, how precisely built is that thing? But for the amoeba to move, it was like, I don't know, 50 or 100 simultaneous parts.
Had to move together.
Had to move together.
Yeah.
Any one of them that was not, it wouldn't have happened.
No, the Darwinian theory is very, very plausible, and they use it a lot. And in some ways it's helped to sort out our plants and animals.
But he actually came out and said, at his time, you've got to give him complete duress for his call. He said that if there was any proof of a simultaneous event that caused something, then all of what he said would be up for grabs. He actually wrote that.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. And that was his cover. He said, you know, here's what it is, because, but, and he put the but in, and that was, I've forgotten whichever of his writings he did it, but it's very clearly stated that if any acknowledgement and proven of a simultaneous event of, he said, then everything else he said is off.
Yeah.
So I've got to give him credit for that because he was a smart man.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see, but people have ridden on this theory of his, and they've made money out of it. They've written books, and they've got degrees in it, and all sorts of things. They've just used it. It's a little bit like climate change, same thing.